let's take you back to some of the agitations in some quarters over the manner in which this year's election will go. Some politicians have clamored for a break in the procedure, allowing voters to accredit, go and come back for voting some hours later. But it appears, you know, they've moved from this, and this is from the 2016 stance after the Bayelsa state election. Let's turn to Abuja studio now and hear from INEC on how it hopes to handle, you know, this in light of the clamor by politicians. Mr. Oluwole Osaze-Ozi joins us right now from Abuja studios. Good to have you on Lunchtime Politics again. If I may begin, from our last discussion, what progress are you making, especially with PVC collection nationwide?
Yeah, thank you for having me yet again. It's a pleasure to be here. The collection has continued. Different states have been encouraged to use whatever methods they think is most effective to get people to come out to collect their PVCs. So in places like the FCT, where we are now, the collection has been at ward level for quite a number of months. And even though they could have just limited it to the local government level of the commission, they've gone on to every ward level. So in every ward level in the FCT, cards are available for collection for those who are resident within the particular ward. I think Anambra just announced that from the 16th, they will also go to the ward. In Oyo, they have a mixture of ward level and rotational. And by rotational, I mean they go from particular localities to other localities, depending on the nature of what the terrain of local government and what the local government stakeholders have said. So basically, it has continued, but there are still millions of cards that are out there waiting to be collected, and we still don't understand why people will take the pains of going to collect, and people claim that there were and there were actually some issues in terms of registration. Now that we've registered, it's a time for collection. We hope they'll go out and collect.
On the latest guidelines by the Commission, which summarizing it, it says voters can now accredit and vote at the same time, rather than what we used to have, that is not accredit, go home and come back again to vote. We witnessed the cases of card reader malfunction in the 2015 election. What if that happens now? What next?
Well, first of all, there are two issues here. You're talking of accrediting and voting. It's nothing new about that. People tend to forget things. Their memories are a bit short. That was actually, when we said democracy, that was actually what used to happen. You accredit and you vote. But when we saw that there were lots of malpractices with people accrediting and voting and having so many cards and going to other polling units to vote, we said, look, let us do it in such a way that everybody votes at the same time. Then the register was more or less manual. So when we now have an electronic voter register, we see that the system has been incredibly improved, and it's difficult or almost impossible for you to vote in one place and go and vote in another place. I said, fine. So we have reached that stage now. But let me get this quite clear. There was a lot of consultation, a lot of CSOs, the media, and political parties said, why do you bother asking people to come back? Since your register is much better now, why don't you just do simultaneously accredit, and then you vote, and then you go about your business? If it's more convenient for you to come at 10 a.m., do so. If it's 8 a.m., all well and good. If it's 1 p.m., all well and good. So that's why we said there was actually consultation, and since the Bayelsa governorship election, the guideline was amended to reflect this. So there's nothing new about that. It was the original position, it was changed, and then we went back to that original position now. So that's where we're at with the question of accreditation and voting. So any of the political parties saying that they're not consulted, that is not correct. And obviously, it was the clamor by the majority of stakeholders, political parties, media, CSOs, that culminated in this new, what they call new, but it's not really new, initiative, and the amendment to that particular part of the guideline.
The argument of, you know, Bayelsa, I mean, that's just one state. We're having a general election that will involve many more states. And the fear is, should the card readers, well, malfunction, then you're saying no incidence forms for this election. So what are you planning to do next?
Great. Well, I think we explained this. We explained it to all the stakeholders. We met with media executives last week. We met with CSOs and we met with political parties. And 2 days ago, we met with security agencies. There will be no incident forms this time around. What will happen if, for any reason, we've reconfigured and improved upon the card reader, but if for any reason there's a failure, the person who's concerned will now, there's a box within the register where the person will now thumbprint. So capture the person's biometrics again, and that tells us that this person has issues with the card reader reading the biometrics, and will take the person's phone number if a person has a phone number. The essence of this is to reach out to them subsequently. The incident phones were not about follow-up action. It didn't capture your biometrics, but now we'll capture your biometrics. So if there are any issues after the elections, we'll try and resolve that so that in the future, this does not reoccur.
All right, we'd like to thank you, Mr. Oluwole Osazu, the INEC Director of Voter Education and Publicity, for joining us in Lunchtime Politics.